We love Harvey Norman here on Paul Murray Live, especially because they're able to support us here with our town, but also give us the opportunity to talk about some magnificent things that they are doing around the country in the regions, particularly when it comes to sport and particularly when it comes to the great sport of rugby league. Now, total accident that I was wearing the Maroons shirt tonight, but obviously we're all cheering for the Blues at the Origin. OK. Well, the NRLW is also part of it, which means women get their chance now to play Origin as well. And go Queensland. It's Australia's greatest sporting rivalry. Tough, uncompromising, endlessly competitive. It's State of Origin. When it comes to emotionally charged sporting moments, nothing beats the spectacle of Origin. Every single match and every single series and every single year adds to its incredible history. A history that now rightfully features the women of rugby league.
Women's Origin 2022. That's the shield.
Former English rugby union player Mike Tindall, who is married to the late Queen's granddaughter Zara Phillips, watched last year's game. And Mike told Harvey Norman CEO Katie Page it was one of the best games of football he'd ever watched, full stop. There was no talk about gender, no sex-specific caveats. It was watershed stuff for the girls on the field to finally hear.
I love that he didn't talk about gender. That's something that we want to be known for as we play the game of State of Origin or the game of rugby league. I don't want people to say, oh, that's the women's Origin. It's we play the Origin and that's how we play it.
We've got these 18, 19-year-olds now coming through in the game, and they're the first generation of kids that we can see that are actually played the game all the way through. They haven't had to stop. It's just making for a really competitive environment to actually get selected for the Maroons.
And now State of Origin training is in overdrive, with the Queensland side looking to come back bigger and better than ever from last year's loss.
The preparation for State of Origin is obviously very different. I think it's one of the most intense matches of women's footy in the calendar year, and that only comes with fitness.
You just have to be fit. Like, you can't play Origin unless you're the fittest and fastest out there.
But the women's game is booming in more places than one. Brad Donald is the coach of our mighty Australian Jillaroos national team, and they're getting behind the science of coaching women rugby league players specifically.
There's certainly differences in terms of how we train females, and we learn a lot about that. There's lots of considerations around differences in body composition and size, and the way that we train the female body as opposed to the male body. We've looked for female-specific experts to come in and talk to our ladies. We had an expert in the menstrual cycle come in and was basically talking about, for many female athletes, it's a rite of passage to end up amenorrheic, or where the cycle doesn't work properly. And basically she said to our group that that's the body telling you that you can't even deal with reproduction, so you're actually not well, and this can lead to more instances of bone fracture. And I ended up stopping the group at that time, and I just said, is there anybody in this category? And we had two girls that put their hand up, and both of them had a number of bone fractures, stress fractures. And so the first thing that we did was we worked with this expert to make sure that the female cycle was regular. We've also had to do a great deal of study on the loads and the intensity of the games. It's why we see that women's games are 35 minutes halves instead of the 40 minutes. Based on injury prevention.
So next time you see the NRLW on the telly, know there's just as much action happening behind the scenes. There's a whole lot of effort and a whole lot of heart going into making sure that little girls of all ages and any area can make sure that their footy dreams come true this year and every year to come.
It's a launch pad for young women and girls to play the game. So we realised really quickly that we weren't just coaches, we were going to be facilitators in the movement of the game.